Um, okay, I think we're good to go. As usual, people, please let me know if you can see and hear me okay. Just waiting for the feed to catch up with where I am. Okay, I think that should be okay. All right, I answered my own question. So, my name is Nick. This is Board Game Brawl. If you are not familiar with the channel, this is our weekly live Q&A. This is where you can ask me anything you like, board game related or not, and I will answer most questions. If I don't answer your question, it's because I don't like you personally, like as a human being. But don't take that too personally, because that happens a lot. No, it's because I just typically don't like some questions, or I've answered some questions too many times. Actually, I'll usually even answer those. But in any case, that's what's happening. So ask your question. I will get to it in short order. If you could, I actually forgot to... well, I shared this on Facebook, but I didn't share it most other places. So if you know of other people who might be interested, please do share on social media. That'd be great. I'd love to get like 80 or so people watching at a time. Of course, it takes a little while for it to build up. But that's perfectly reasonable. Okay, so just brief channel news. I always start off with to let the piles question up a bit. Yes. Big news, of course, is that I got my copy of Scythe from, or as some people say, Scythe, or Scythe, or Scythe. No one says it like that. Now, if you guys don't know, and I'll probably repeat this ad nauseum I'm going to film an unboxing later today, hopefully before my game group, and then at my game group, we're just playing Scythe all night, over and over and over again, hopefully with different player counts, so we'll see how that goes. But I have you guys to thank for that, or some of you at least. So just so you may not be in the loop on that, if you saw my post, God, my video looks terrible today. Sorry, I get distracted easily. I don't know what's going on there. It's okay. Well, I didn't shave, so I look like crap to begin with. So, let's see, whatever. Jamie Stegmaier, the co-owner and publisher and designer of Scythe and Stonemaier Games, every year he does a charity contest where he'll give away like collector's deluxe editions of a certain game, like Viticulture or Euphoria. And how he'll do it is not give away. It's like a charity auction. So he'll do it on Board Game Geek. He'll make a list, or he'll make a geek list, and he will have a podcast or a video channel like mine or something like that be the sponsor for every copy of the game that he's giving away, and then people will come in and bid on each of the individual ones, and then each of those podcasters, vloggers, whatever, gets to choose a charity that they want those funds that they collect from the auction to go towards. I chose the Beagle Freedom Project, which is a project, a foundation that helps get beagles and other laboratory test animals released and into good homes rather than continue to be used in really vicious and diabolical lab testing for stupid products. Our high bidder bid very generously. I never know if he wants me to say his name, so I don't, just in case. But he was very, very generous. And on top of that, the reason why I got a copy of Scythe is because a sort of contest within a contest, in order to bring more attention to the auction, Jamie, who's a very, very smart guy, said, well, here's the other thing, too. If your entry gets the most thumbs up, like likes, essentially, on Board Game Geek, you, as a vlogger or podcaster, will get an advanced copy of Scythe for the purposes of the review, one of the very first production copies, because the game's actually not even shipping to backers until, like, August or something like that. And you guys came through in a big way. Now, of course, I only had to compete. He never uses the same podcasters and vloggers every year. So if I had to compete against, like, the Dice Tower or the Secret Cabal, I probably would have lost. Maybe. But I didn't. I had some very stiff competition, but still, we blew them away. Demolished them. So it's thanks to you guys that I have this copy. It's thanks to Jamie Stegmaier and his generosity, of course, as well. So I'm very, very happy about that. I can't wait to give it a review. I'm hoping I play it enough to review it tomorrow. I can't promise that. I don't want to be rushed on this one. I want to take my time with it. I really, really want to sink my teeth into it and play it at as many player counts, including solo. It has a solo mode as well, which should be the easy one to get done. So we'll see how that goes. But look forward to that. That will be happening in the very near future. And then I'm going to give it away. I haven't decided how I want to do that yet. I have some ideas, but I don't know. I'd have to maybe run. I'm going to run some ideas by my friends and see how that goes. I want to do it right. I want to be, because I did promise I would give it away, but then I had another idea. I'm like, but we'll see how that goes. But in any case, I already have my own copy of this coming with the Kickstarter backers. Even if I really enjoy the game, I'm okay with waiting. I'd rather give it away to someone who really deserves it. So, all right. With that said, let's go ahead and move on. I'm going to double check the comments to make sure my feed didn't cut out at some point during that, which has happened before. Other reviews you can expect to see very soon, by the way. God. Sorry. Allegiance, A Realm Divided should be coming up tomorrow. I really hope to get that up tomorrow. Scythe, the Collector's Edition, I guess I'm going to do a review of that too. I was kind of on the fence about that. I've reviewed the base game. I've done an unboxing of the Collector's Edition. Do I really need to do a review? But there's actually expansion content I haven't reviewed yet. So I'm going to consider it kind of a review of that stuff. So we'll delve into that. That's it. That's pretty much the only guaranteed stuff that you'll see. You might see the expansion for Looney Quest and Looney Quest. I haven't actually reviewed that yet, even though I've had it for a year. So we'll see how it goes. All right, to the questions. Hey, Nick, I found out today that Games Workshop is re-releasing a revised Warhammer Quest in 2 weeks. Is this something you'd be keen to review? I had no idea. Actually, I'm sure most people had no idea because Games Workshop doesn't really announce stuff like this far in advance. It's just a couple weeks out. It's oh, shit, there's a new game coming out. Like that giant mech game. I was like, okay. Any of those board games they put out recently just sort of pop up on their site at one day. But yeah, I'm super excited. As a matter of fact, here you're forcing me to interrupt the Q&A because I want to see. I assume it's on their page right now. Let's see. Oh, I don't know. Hold on a second. It's your fault, whoever your name is. Let's see here. Because I do want to find out if you're trolling me too. That would be funny. You definitely have succeeded. Huh. I don't know. I don't see it, but their website's really hard to actually see anything. I can't just go to the pre-orders. Well, whatever. I'll take your word for it for now, but that'd be pretty amazing. Enix, so I ordered the rest of the expansions for Kingdom Death Monster. Now I'm having the dilemma of how I'm going to fit everything in the box. How are you solving this? I'm not. All the monsters are kind of sitting outside the box, and I have all the cards inside, though. Have you seen the latest Tumblr post for Kingdom Death? Seems like Poot still has great plans for the future of Kingdom Death. Well, I'm not sure if it's the same as the... excuse me while I... Yes, I have a cold again. It seems to happen very often on the weekends. If it's anything like his... If it's exactly the same as his newsletter that went out to the backers, then yeah, I know. And there's a lot of plans. I posted about it on Facebook, actually. Nick, I'm sick and I don't want to go out of bed. You and me both. Don't judge me, bro. Question: do you play any board games on your computer? Not on my computer. I don't sit here on my laptop and do it, which is my computer. But I will play. I've been known to play Ascension. I'm going to try that Pathfinder Adventure card game when it comes out for Android. It might already be out for Android. I just haven't checked. But no, for the most part, I don't. I was playing Seasons for a while, a couple of years ago, and I just don't have time to sit in front of the computer and just play a game. If I have time like that, I'm doing other things, like working on the channel. Hey, Nick, I'm playing Undertale now after my friend bugged me for a month. Have you played it? No, like I was just saying, I very rarely play any kind of computer games. Hey, Nick, you should do a review of Scythe just to scoop others and rub it in the face of those that care about it. I mean, yeah, I want to do it because I want you guys to have great quality content. I'm kind of over the whole scooping people thing. In fact, there's another, I think it's German? There's a German either podcast or video channel that he sent one out to at the same time. I wouldn't be surprised if they scoop me, which is fine. I don't know. I'm just not worried about it. I'm so happy to have the honor of taking a look at it so early at all. and also I'm so happy with my fans and what you guys did, and getting me this and supporting the charity and supporting the whole cause. I mean, that was the reward. And I'm being totally serious about this. I'm not trying to be like maudlin or like schmaltzy. I really am just so happy how it all went down, that I feel like I've gotten what I want out of it for sure. When a person hears you like a board game and asks you if you would like to play Monopoly, what is the most respectful way to bitch slap him? Well, don't do that. What you say is, I'm not a fan of Monopoly, and you know, I think maybe there's, I don't know, there's a diplomatic way to put that. I probably don't know how to do it though. I see, because if that happens in my group, I just say, well, no, we're not playing that because I'm the boss. But if you're out in the wild and someone says it, say like, no, I don't think so. But you know, here's some other games that are like Monopoly. Perhaps you want to try one of these newer ones. And if they still insist, just say, well, I'm not doing that. So. Hey Nick, any thoughts on Victory Point Games temporarily suspending the Darkest Night 2nd Edition Kickstarter campaign? I think the mixing and matching of standees and minis in particular disappointed a lot of people. Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts on that. So, and I'm not going to comment on the gameplay. Of course, I did a paid preview for it. It would be very uncouth of me to talk about what was in the preview. It's just not, it's kind of against my own personal code of ethics for how I do a paid preview. But I will talk about, and someone asked me about this too, and I said, ask me on Saturday. I will talk about the campaign itself and where I think why there was so much confusion and things like that. So first off, they structured the stretch goals so that if you backed the game, which was expensive, and people had a lot of problems with shipping too, which is like the classic Kickstarter conundrum that a lot of companies have a problem with. It's kind of hard to fault just Victory Point Games for that. I mean, that's a problem everybody faces, right? But it was expensive, and you, as part of that, just the base game, you got the miniatures for all the heroes, which is great. I love the idea of the miniatures. My preview copy didn't have the miniatures, so I cannot comment on that. I just love the idea that finally we'll have miniatures as opposed to the standees, because I don't like the standees, okay? I'm just upfront and honest about that. I don't think I've been shy about that either. I was fully willing to deal with them because I think Darkest Night, the original edition at least, was a great game. But I'm happy, I was super excited when I heard that there would be miniatures eventually. The problem with the Kickstarter, and I think even Victory Point Games would acknowledge that now, I don't think I'm speaking out of school here, was that you could buy the expansions, right? There's 2 big expansions. They aggregated all of the expansion content over like 4 or 5 expansions into both the base game and 2 big expansions, right? And you could get them as part of the campaign. The problem is the campaign heroes did not automatically start off with miniatures for them. Instead, they had standees, and then stretch goals would unlock miniatures for them. Are you confused yet? Well, everyone was. Basically, the confusion was, well, wait a minute. So what if we don't unlock those stretch goals? So now we have standees mixed with miniatures, or are we just going to have to use the miniatures from the base game to represent other heroes? Which I think wouldn't be that big of a deal, but okay. Regardless, it's a weird situation, right? And I think people were like, well, why didn't you just set the pledge goal higher? And it's all or nothing. Or why didn't you do any number of things? Make them an add-on. Why can't the miniatures just be an add-on? Then you know how many you have to order, all of that. Their response would be, well, we have to make the molds for everything anyways, so that's really, really expensive. So they were stuck in a very bad situation. Also, here's my personal beef about this. And I'm not necessarily wiping out Victory Point Games of any kind of culpability here, because maybe they should have communicated better and things like that, right? But they didn't commit any cardinal sins. This is the kind of foibles that happen on Kickstarter. Fine. I do have a problem with the community, especially from Board Game Geek. And I actually mentioned this to one of the designers or the editors and editors-in-chief or whatever of Victory Point Games when he was talking to me about it. And I said, well, listen, part of the problem is when you have a large amount of your fan base of this particular game come from Board Game Geek, the community on Board Game Geek is very anti-miniature, most of them, anti-progress. They don't like it when you take your classic style game and classic style Euro components and try to upgrade them. They're like, oh, whoa, 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 whoa! Too much change, man. Change is scary. And I know that sounds like a very simplistic way to look at it, but that's what I was seeing, and that's what I was reading. People were like, I like those little things, man. Victory point games are supposed to be about the game. Why do we not need miniatures? And the truth of the matter is this. The original Darkest Night, which I love, top 100 game for me, top 50 game for me, had really horrible components. Okay? It did. It needs a better map. I don't like standees. Most people don't. Most people want miniatures. Most people want better tokens. All of these different things, right? And I think the vocal minority of people who are railing against the miniatures being offered at all, okay, are really going to do damage to this campaign and to the game. Okay, I think that Victory Point Games had the right idea in going all out. Okay, they just needed to format it a little bit differently. So I just get upset sometimes when I see old school players holding back progress in the board gaming industry. That's my opinion. You can disagree with me if you want. I think we need to keep going forward. Gameplay, of course, is important. Guess what else is important? The components. They just are. If you want to act like they're not, then I would suggest that you just get some sheets of paper and draw out your own Darkest Night and see how that works for you. Okay, the reason why we play board games as opposed to video games is that, and the reason why video games based on board games still use images of the same components is because the components are super duper important. That's why they're board games. So that's my rant. But I support Victory Point Games and what they're trying to do. They did make some mistakes, though. I hope they come back even stronger than ever. Bottom line. I wanted to have an anime-themed or with anime-like artwork for a while, but all I can find is games with gigantic boobs. Any more tasteful games out there? No. I mean, come on, man. They're boobs. I don't even know. So I'm sure you're talking about... I don't know what you're talking about. First off, there's not a lot of anime-themed games out there. So right off the bat, you're in bad shape. And the few good ones I don't think are that bad as far as boobs. Like the Naruto game, where they're talking about the deck building game or the base game, which are actually pretty good. I mean, even if you don't like Naruto. Kingdom Death, if you want to say that's got anime-style artwork, it does to a degree, and that's got, of course, scantily clad people, men and women, all over the place, but a lot of women. Tentacle Bento, which is a terrible game anyway. You shouldn't be playing that. Anime-themed what, though? Anime-themed night? Is that what you meant to say? Well, whatever. But, yeah, I mean, I understand. It can be a little disheartening. I don't even... like, people say Tanto Cuore is like that, too. But I don't even see that. Tanto Cuore, most of the women in that game are in maid outfits. Which, if that's your thing, that's fine. But they're not really scantily clad. That's why I never understood the criticism of that game. But whatever. But yeah, you have first off, look at the root problem. There's not a lot of anime games, and the ones that are, most of them are not very good. That's the root problem right there. Boobs should be the least of your worries. Hey Nick, how do you call them sore losers or people who blatantly stop trying when the game doesn't swing their way? I'm not as concerned about that second group of people. People who are just stop trying when the game's not going their way. Oftentimes, like, who cares? It's not going to affect me at all. Sorry, hold on. I'm trying not to do the gross stuff, but I have a cold. I can't help it. Sore losers, but people who are like actively doing stuff to interfere with the game, that's a bigger problem. If they're getting angry, if they're just really detracting from the fun, you have to do the nuclear option. The nuclear option is you tell them, listen, this can't go on. You either start behaving better or tell us what the problem is or do something because otherwise you're out, because you're hurting everyone's fun. And I've had to do that before, and it's not fun to do that for whoever's the leader of the group. But, and whoever, I don't know if you are the leader of the group, but if you are, it's your responsibility. If not, you need to go to the person whose responsibility it is and tell them, you got to do something about this. I'm not having fun. Now, if everyone else just says, well, I don't see a problem, it's only you, that's a whole other story. But if more than one person, or, you know, even if it is just you and you have a valid grievance, something's got to be done. But one thing I've known, and this goes throughout all of life, okay, not just people who are a problem in the game, if you're having a problem with a person and you expect that things will just get better over time, like incrementally, 9 times out of 10 they're not. Because a lot of people who are acting out in a certain way, not saying anything about it is essentially reinforcing their behavior and saying, oh, well, I'll give you a good example. And I'm not, necessarily, I don't necessarily take my own advice all the time, but I have a coworker who's incredibly annoying, and I wish that he didn't have certain habits. But then again, I've never called him to task for it, because I'm like, is it really worth having animosity just because he taps the table constantly or sings to himself while he's doing that while we're working? But if I don't say anything, it's never going to stop. So what do? The answer is you have to politely say something, and if it keeps up, then you have to unpolitely say something, impolitely. So, but the point is, you can't do nothing and expect something to change. Oda, I just answered your question. Actually, you were the person that asked me earlier in the week, and I said ask me on Saturday, so I hope I answered your question. But you have a second one here. Let me see. Okay, let's look at it from a different angle. Oda asks, is it possible that the trend toward including minis in games that might not need them works against the goal of reaching a larger audience due to cost, preference, or other reasons? I would say that that's a perfectly valid statement. The problem is that ship has kind of sailed. I think that whether you like it or not, when there's a Kickstarter for a game, unless the game is like a very small card game or in a brand new game that people are just trying to get off the ground, people are going to expect very nice components. They're going to expect at least the appearance of a very high-grade game. And the fact that this is already a released game with the release edition that you can get out there means that when Victory Point Games decides to do a Kickstarter, people are going to be like, okay, why should I support this Kickstarter when I can theoretically just go get the original? The answer has to be, since they didn't change, if you notice from my preview, they didn't really change much of the mechanisms. They changed a few things, but not like drastically. So why, and things you could actually incorporate yourself if you really want to, some of them. So why should I back the new one? The answer is going to be because it's a nicer production. And miniatures are a part of that. And in fact, it seems like an obvious part of it if you think about it. You have standees, and at least the original ones were really tiny and hard to see. The newer ones that you saw, which again may not be in the final version, but in the preview I did, were a lot larger. Okay, that's a positive. So what else can they do? Metal item tokens? Something has got to be nicer. And it may not be right that this is the case, but people expect that, right? So I'm saying that like I expect you to answer back through the screen. So just agree to yourself. So that's the thing. And again, you may not like that, but I feel like this ship has sailed with Kickstarter, and people have come to expect this sort of thing. And I don't think it's out of line for Victory Point Games to want to do that. They are calling this one of their premier line or signature line games, right? Together with Nemo's War and Dawn of the Zed's 3rd edition or 2nd edition, one of those editions. So it's a tough thing. I don't think that every game should just be forced to have miniatures. We need miniatures in everything. In fact, I've railed against games who make like miniatures for the first player marker. Like, who cares? How much of my money did that cost for backing the game? So stupid. But I feel like this one is kind of justified, especially since, people have said Darkest Night is closer to a Euro game, and that's why some people, especially on Board Game Geek, like it, because you Oh, no, what I had was a piece of, like, tissue paper hanging from my nose. Sorry, guys. I know it was probably gross, though. But, so people who... I lost my train of thought from that. I lost my train of thought. What was I saying? Well, anyways, it doesn't really matter. I think that it's a good direction to go in. I think that people who want it will get it. But hey, listen, if you like your original version of Darkest Night, I don't think that this is going to change anything. Did you ever get a chance to look into Raspberry Pi? Mine just showed up. I plan to make it an... I don't even remember that comment. Did you mention that in the previous? Huh, interesting. What's new in U.S. politics these days? A lot of really aggravating things. So Bernie Sanders is pretty much out. It's going to be Hillary Clinton. It's going to be versus Trump, who is the they're the inevitable nominees at this point. And I got news for you. I would say, if you think that it's a slam dunk that Hillary is just going to destroy Trump, and that's that, we've saved our republic and our democracy once again from the evil of Trump and his sideshow, I would say don't place your bets quite yet. And while I want that to happen, given that apparently Bernie's out, I would say that there are a lot of chances for Hillary Clinton to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory, because that's what she does. And these are the two most unfavorably viewed candidates in the history of presidential elections. We have them both going up against each other. And while I still think that the turnout this year is going to be humongous, like possibly the biggest turnout per capita since, like, you know, the early days of the Republic, I still think that it's possible that something really awful is going to happen. In my opinion, we wouldn't have to deal with this situation if you had nominated and through the primaries Bernie Sanders, because every matchup he demolished in every poll he demolished every single Republican candidate by a wider margin than Clinton. But this is who we got stuck with. So this is what it is. The future's a bit scary. I'm going to be totally honest, and I'm not a very paranoid conspiracy theorist, like, oh, the world's going to end at any minute if so-and-so gets into office. But it's not going to be fun, folks. So I hope that I'm wrong. But there's actually like one poll that came out in the past week or so where they were evenly matched in November. Evenly matched! What? That should be terrifying to everybody. But this is what happens when you get... when you put up a candidate who is immensely unpopular because of inevitability. So, that's my opinion. Take it or leave it. Dude, is the Orleans invasion expansion worth it? I just played it yesterday and played 3 games straight. So effing good. Wait, you just played the base game yesterday and liked it. Well, I have the Invasion expansion. I haven't played with it yet. It's one of the games stuck in purgatory. So I have to get to it eventually. And I should get to it because I really like Orleans. So I can't really comment yet, but I will eventually. What is the most pretentious film you have ever seen that you ended up liking? Oh, boy. Wow. I don't know. Oh, okay. I got one. Birdman. That film, yes, it's a major Hollywood film, but it's still very pretentious. I mean, it's so full of itself. It's like, and that's the reason why everyone in the Academy loved it, because it's really like self-aggrandizing, you know, our actor's amazing and wonderful movie. So, but I still enjoyed it greatly. What can be expected at the Republican convention now? I don't think you're going to see anything. Listen, there's no one more than me that would, in a very sick way, I admit, would love to see chaos there, because it would be another way that the Republicans will show their true selves. And by the way, I think that if things did not pan out the way they did this week, we would have seen that. If we really did get to a contested convention instead of an inevitable convention where these other people stayed in the race, it would have been a real sideshow, okay, to say the least. But I don't think it's going to happen now. I think the cold inevitability has crept into the hearts of Republicans, and this is what they're stuck with. And I don't know. I listen, for the first time ever, I feel bad for certain Republicans, because it's like, what do you do, right? If you try to pull some shenanigans, you're only going to alienate a larger section of the Republican base. But if you don't, this is what you're stuck with. You are basically resigning yourself to this course of action. So what do? Do you try to run another party candidate just to say, well, we are on principles. It's about the principles of the thing, and we don't care about this. And even if we lose, and even if we guarantee by doing this that Trump will lose, at least we've made a stand, right? Even if it guarantees Clinton getting into the White House, at least we have made made our stand and made our thoughts known. I don't think they're going to do that because I don't think they're that principled. But they could do that. But I think what's going to happen is nothing. I think that you're going to see Trump as the inevitable nominee. I think the convention will just be a matter of course. And then that's that. Sad as it may be. And by the way, I think that that's going to happen on the Democratic side as well. So the next question is, if Sanders runs independent, would you vote for him? Do you think he would win? He's not going to do that, okay? Because I think at the end of the day, people are accusing Bernie. He's just in it for his ego at this point. No, Bernie's running because he wants to get his message out. Whether you agree with that message or not, that was his plan. And he's doing that, and that's why he's going all the way to June, and why shouldn't he? He's going to California, he's going to the convention. Why shouldn't he do that? The longer he's out there, the longer he gets his message out, the more he pushes the party to the left, which is absolutely what it needs, okay? Because you've already seen Hillary Clinton is going after Republican donors who are disenfranchised with Trump. She's already going towards the center right. And so he has every reason in the world to stay in. At the end of the day, though, he is not going to risk alienating he's not going to risk a Trump presidency. He is not going to risk pushing a large segment of the population away from a Democratic Party, which is completely and utterly imperfect, of course, but nevertheless is the country's best hope at this moment in time, rather than try to build something from the ground up, which could take years and years and years. But the movement is just starting. I think that it's a good thing that all of this has happened and went down like this, but just like on the Republican side, I think if something dramatic was going to happen, it would have by now. I think that Bernie's going to stay in until the convention, and then he's going to say, listen, we need to do what we need to do for the best of this country right now, but the movement's not over. We continue on. It's just going to take a different form for now. But listen, all across the country, people, progressive candidates are winning, and they're winning big. And I think it was in Rhode Island. No, not Rhode Island. I'm sorry, I can't remember. It's like Rhode Island or New Hampshire or Maine. In the Democratic primary, some real progressive, really Bernie Sanders type progressive, just won big in the primary against Chris Matthews' wife. And I was very happy to see that. And you're going to see things like that happen more and more. So I think not all hope is lost, is what I'm saying. Let's see. What game would you play to impress a date? First off, on a first date, definitely not playing games, because I think, unless they've already indicated they want to, because I really don't want to shove my hobby down people's throats, because it's too much all at once. However, I have on subsequent dates played games with people, and it's just simple card games, simple two-player card games. I've done Love Letter to great success, because even I find Love Letter two-player to still be pretty engaging. Lost Cities has also worked well as well. How often will you play a game from your collection versus a game that needs to be reviewed? Well, I always prioritize at this point games that need to be reviewed. However, usually near the end of the night, I start considering games that I know how to play well already. Whether it's a big game or party game or a small card game. So it usually happens. I think once every game night I play a couple of different games from my already reviewed collection. How was Civil War? It was great. Yeah, I'm surprised no one else asked about that before. I'm just scrolling down a bit. Sorry, I'm checking to see if everything's okay. But yeah, Civil War was really, really amazing. Really great fun. It kind of reminds you that superhero movies can be fun after the Batman versus Superman and the bad taste it left in the whole country's mouth. Or even the apologist, it's okay, I like things about it. No, it was terrible. But this movie, Civil War, was amazing. I liked Black Panther. I thought he was great. His introduction, both in and out of the costume, I thought that actor did a fantastic job. I like Spider-Man. Very funny with the quips, and his youthful exuberance makes me really excited for his movie. I'm excited about the Black Panther movie as well. Someone in the AV Club, A.A. Dowd, who's a notoriously tough reviewer, but still gave this movie a B+, which is great from him. That's like an A+ from any other reviewer. Said that he was... I'm sorry, I don't remember the gentleman's name, the actor, but he is very regal, and I got that sense. He acted like a king, and I really appreciated that they're being so authentic to his character. I thought that Winter Soldier was great, even though I didn't care about him before. I actually thought he was very interesting. I liked the dynamic he had with Falcon. Things I don't want to say in case people haven't seen it yet, but all the other bit players, like Ant-Man and Rhodey, War Machine, Black Widow. I mean, no one except for like Captain America and the Winter Soldier and Iron Man had a ton of time to shine. But when they did, I think it worked well. Vision was as good as he was in Age of Ultron. So, I'm talking about the characters because it's a character-driven movie, no doubt about it. And I think that they did a very, very good job with the characters. And the plot was, a plot. I felt that was perhaps the most tacked-on thing. And it's definitely nothing. I've never read the entirety of the Civil War comics series. I just know the basic synopsis and the main plot points. I talked about it with a friend of mine. And I feel like it's... Oh, yeah, see? Whenever I wipe my nose with tissue paper, it just kind of sticks there. So it looks like I have a booger. It's not. It's just tissue paper. All right, maybe I shouldn't do these when I have a cold. Fair enough. That's a fair point. However, the plot's really not the main thing. It's about getting the characters together. So I was okay with that. And I know it's not close to Civil War, but it really couldn't be if you think about it. Civil War was just like this amazingly complex storyline. Did you support the Girls Game Shelf on Kickstarter? It was an all-female board game reviewing show that is starting up. No, but I probably didn't see it. I don't see a lot of that, so sorry. I usually only know about the really popular Kickstarters at this point. Is it still up? How often will you play a heavier game in your collection? E.g. Seasons, Super Dungeon Explorer, Runebounds. Not too often. Seasons is not terribly heavy, and I know it so well now that I don't mind busting that out every now and then. And actually knocking it out with like a 2-player game in like less than an hour. Have you ever won money playing board games? Should the industry be trying to go in that direction? No and no. I don't even like going into tournaments and things. When are you going to do a live play session? That would be cool. I'd like to not do those very often. I'm going to record sessions of Kingdom Death, but they're going to be pre-recorded and edited. Live play sessions have been just kind of a mess, in my opinion, and I don't think they're very interesting. But I know that some of you disagree. That's fine. I have to be interested in it, though. But I'm not going to say never say never. Hey, Nick, what is your favorite genre of music? What was the best concert show you have ever been to? So my favorite genre of music is all music. No, more specifically, I like things within the indie rock category. I'm kind of over classic rock. I had my classic rock period where I was immersed in that, and I got over it. And then I got more into, and also alternative rock, like 90s rock. I'm all over that. Some of it I find very painful to listen to. Some things I still listen to, like Everclear, but for the most part, I'm over it. Now I'm into indie rock. I like bands like lots. The Decemberists, Arcade Fire, Los Campesinos. I still like some of my old favorites from when I was a kid, like The Cure and Bad Religion, Face to Face. I'm very curious about this. Is there a name for this new trend of music? I guess you'd call it a trend from like the last few years of female vocalist-led bands with a very synthy 80s type sound. The examples of that I would give would be Churches, Grimes, Lady Hawk, the Naked and Famous to a degree. I really love them. But you know what I mean? I don't know if there's a name for that genre other than what I just said, female-led vocalist, synth, indie pop. But I love it. That's like my favorite type of music right now. As far as like what's the best concert or show I've ever been to, since it's the first one that pops into my mind, I'm going to say Depeche Mode in like 2003? 2002, 2003. Down here at the then Bank Atlantic Center, which is where the Panthers play, the hockey team down here. Amazing show. First off, I love Depeche Mode. Always have, always will. At least their earlier stuff. And their 80s stuff. And the show that they put on was amazing. They sang all their hits. They sang some of their new stuff. They had like these big monitors in the back that had like great graphics and things going on. It was just an amazing show. I had so much fun. It's the one that sticks out in my mind the most. Even though people wouldn't really think a Depeche Mode show would be great. I didn't think it. I just wanted to see them play. I'll tell you an interesting story about a concert too. So my first concert was Dave Matthews Band, by the way, which Dave Matthews Band is the band I loved the most and then quit hard. Like I just all of a sudden I was just like, wow, and just dropped them like a bad habit, which I feel kind of bad about, but I don't know. My musical taste just went in a completely different direction after at the age of like 15 or 16. But when I was 16, that was the first concert I ever went to, and I actually drove myself and a few friends to Pittsburgh. It was like a 2-hour drive to go and see them. So it was a whole thing. It was like my first, like, I'm going to go do something adventurous and fun. Now, a more horrific story, and actually this is a David Bowie story. I was going to see David Bowie in concert back in like 2004. Had the tickets, went to it was this little intimate concert hall down in Miami. Drove like 2 hours to get down there because South Miami is pretty far from me. Oh, my laptop's not plugged in, excuse me. I had no idea. I got a lot of battery out of that. So I drove down there to Miami to go see them. The Stereophonics were opening up for them, which is a little band that never really hit it big, but I really enjoyed them. And got there, they came out, did their opening act. It was great. They did a really, really good job. So then, okay, Stereophonics comes off the stage, waiting for Bowie to come out. And we wait, and we wait, and we wait. And then all of a sudden, you see some of the roadies come out and start putting up these like black partitions, like these like cloth stands with cloth partitions between them, and putting them off across the stage, just sectioning it off. We're like, what is going on? Are they putting up some sort of elaborate thing and they don't want us to see until it's done? So I got tired of waiting. I had to use the restroom. I'm like, I'm gonna go to the restroom. On my way back, I get out of the restroom. People are flooding out, and then I go and ask a security guard. I'm like, what's going on? Why is everyone leaving? And they're like, the show's canceled. Can't really say more than that. So I'm like, what the hell? This is crazy. I paid for the ticket. I drove all the way down here. The show's canceled. So I go home. I go home and watch the news that night. What do you think happened? A roadie who was up on like one of the scaffolds putting up lighting or something like that fell, broke his neck, and died. Died right there as they were setting up for Bowie's performance. And they canceled the show, of course. I mean, that was the right thing to do. And they refunded everyone the money for their tickets. And unfortunately, I mean, listen, the biggest unfortunate part is that this guy died. I felt really horrible about that. I wish I knew the guy's name, just because, I guess. But that's the most unfortunate part. The much secondary unfortunate part is that he never rescheduled his performance. So I never got to see Bowie live in concert. And that was back in the day I really was into classic rock and loved Bowie. So that was my chance, and now it's gone forever. Sad, right? But again, not as sad as someone losing their life. Hey Nick, do you find it difficult to stay neutral on a paid preview and you wait long enough to unleash your opinion? And when do you consider it's long enough when the game hits retail? I don't find it that difficult because there's always something interesting about a game. And if a game is truly, completely, and utterly uninteresting, I'm probably not going to agree to do a paid preview for it. So I don't find it that difficult to stay neutral about it. I'm pretty good at it at this point, just telling people what's interesting about the game as opposed to what's good or bad about it. But I never go out of my way to bash a game that once a certain amount of time has passed. I will do it if they send me a review copy and I end up not liking it. The most recent example of that was the game Lost Woods. I did a paid preview for Lost Woods. Then to his credit, he sent me a review copy of the game, and then I reviewed it and I trashed it because it's not a very good game, in my opinion. And to his credit, he emailed me afterwards and said, I appreciate your effort. And he actually was confused. He was like, see, this is where I sometimes have some ethical quandaries with my paid previews, because he was like, I don't understand. You seem to like it so much the first time. And I politely wrote back and said, no, I'm sorry. My paid preview, I was only saying what I thought was interesting, which I even reiterated in my full review. But I never said I liked the game. That's the whole point of the paid preview. When's the last time you took a vacation? Never. So I took a day off a few weeks ago. No, I'm sorry, it was like 2 months ago, because it was supposed to be part of a longer break because I had my then person I was dating at the time flying in from out of town, and then that all fell apart, and she's a disastrous human being who I'm not seeing anymore ever. So I ended up just keeping one of those days off just to have the day off, and that's it. So I really do need a vacation badly. I was sick one day this week, earlier in the week, from some sort of stomach bug, and I had a day off, but I was stuck in bed, so I wouldn't call that a vacation. And it ruined the rest of my week because my whole schedule got all out of whack. I do need a vacation badly. Hey Nick, if provided the opportunity, would you work for a tabletop company like Chaz Marlar or Undead Viking? No, I would not. Never say never. I think it's a bad precedent to set because you'll always inevitably you'll go back against it. However, in this case, I think I would really never want to do that, or I wouldn't be offered to do that, by the way, because unless it was a brand new company that wanted me in on the ground floor, publishers hate me. There's a few publishers who are perfectly fine with me. For the most part, publishers hate me. Because I'm too honest. They don't like that I don't toe the line. They don't like that I'm not into the community of making games, and that I don't like give free advertising to publishers and give free advertising to Kickstarters anymore. That's one of the reasons I'm perfectly happy with not doing my Kickstarter updates anymore. A good example of that, Level 99 Games. Now, Level 99 Games is a company that I have praised from the very beginning. I've given positive reviews to 5 or 6 of their games, like BattleCon, the original, BattleCon Devastation. I did a positive unboxing, if you want to count that. Cell Swords, Pixel Tactics, Argent the Consortium. Maybe I'm forgetting one. I love that company and everything that they do. That guy hates me. The designer, the publisher of the company, has pretty much intimated that he wants nothing to do with me, which is weird. But I think that's the general tone and tenor of the industry when it comes to me, because I'm too much. I'm not praising myself. I'm just saying I'm too much of a maverick. People don't like that I don't toe the line for these companies, that I don't just want to bend down and kiss their ring and beg for review copies and things like that. I'm not going to do that. It's never going to happen. So no company that exists right now is going to ask me to work with them. It won't happen. That doesn't mean that I hate these people. For the most, some of them I do have legitimate grievances with, of course, and that's been noted in the past, but I have no problem with Level 99, and I'll continue to review their games, and that's how it should be. I'm here to help you guys by reviewing these games, and if I love a game or if I hate a game, I'm going to tell you. I didn't like Millennium Blades, Level 99's latest release, but I was pretty fair to it. And I did it for you guys, so you guys would know what I think about it, and maybe it influences your choice, maybe you don't. So you guys are the most important part to me, not publishers. And so I don't care if I'm ever a part of that segment of the world. It just doesn't bother me. I don't really care about it. But it is interesting. Sorry. I know, it's gross. Just deal with it. Maybe see, mornings are tough for me too. I just get like allergies, and I feel sicker in the morning. Maybe I should schedule these later in the day. There always seems to be a lot of issues and criticisms for which games get nominated for the Spiel des Jahres. I'm mispronouncing that for some reason today. What do you think about the SDJ? Do you think people forget it is a family game award? Yes. People expect it to be something it's not. Because it's not just a family game award, it's games released in Germany that German players want to play award. So for people in the US especially to think, well, why didn't this get nominated? You're really not thinking about this properly. What do you think about VR gaming? The Oculus Rift, the HTC Vive or Vive. Let me come back to that. Give me 1 second. Okay, sorry. So I think it's a cool idea. Of course, we've seen fads like this come and go, kind of like 3D glasses, which I bought a 3D TV, and it's been a TV I just use for normal viewing. So I'm always hesitant about these sort of new gimmicky things, but people seem to be really into the Oculus Rift. So what can I say? It might be the future. Who knows? What says I don't play video games anymore? It's kind of hard to say. Let's see. That's a question for somebody else. When do you think the casual board gamer can change to a heavy gamer? And what difference are there between these two? There doesn't have to be a difference. You can play casual games, you can play heavy games. I think that right now the definition of a heavy gamer is someone who is like pretty much consumed with games and will play anything. I don't know that there's a time when that switch happens, and some people will never make the switch. I've played with people who, whether it's 1 year ago or 2 years ago or whatever, they're still playing the same light games because that's what interests them. You shouldn't try to change people either. bought Descent 2 just for the app. Do you think it will boost the game? Will the app be a success? I can't comment because I haven't played it. Of course, I think it's going to be great. I hope it's going to be great. I'm very excited for it too. It will be a success as far as like, I am sure it's going to be okay and people will enjoy it. I don't know that it will boost the game. I don't think people are willing to buy a base game, potentially its expansions, just to use an app, unless that's part of the base game. But maybe having the option will be enough to push people over the edge to get it. Do you know anything about Massive Darkness? I know it's the new game coming out from Cool Me or Not to Kickstarter very soon, or within like a few months. And I know that it's based off of the Zombicide engine, but with significant differences. It's not just a Zombicide expansion. So I'm very curious, but I'm not sure yet. Have you tried any escape rooms? What are your thoughts? I have not tried any escape rooms. I don't really care to. It doesn't seem to interest me very much. Same way that like True Dungeon doesn't interest me at all. What do you think about the Dark Souls Kickstarter? I think that they are doing a very good job with that. It's very successful. It's made over 2 million euros, which means it's made well over $2 million. And probably closing in on, I would imagine it might break 3 if it keeps going on like this. It's got like over a week left. They've said they'll send me a review copy for the final version. It was just a little bit too late to do any kind of preview for this one. They also don't have like a full prototype for it with the miniatures and all that. I'm sure they want to show off their best game. But as far as like the game itself, it seems kind of basic. I don't know. But maybe if you're a Dark Souls fan, which I'm not because I've just never played them. I only played Demon Souls once or twice. But if you're a hardcore fan, you're probably more inclined to like it and be more forgiving if the game is not all that incredibly wonderful. But who knows? I lost my place. I'm sorry. New 30-second commercial for live-action Attack on Titan movie was released 2 minutes ago. Care for a live reaction video? No. Did they do another live-action movie? Because I thought that the first live-action movie sucked. That's what I heard, and after the clips I saw, it looked really terrible. So are they doing a sequel, or is this for the like the English release? Yeah, the Doctor Strange trailer was really great. Very interested in that, you know? Always nice to see them switch up the methodology, and if they do it right, you know, people were worried, like, Doctor Strange is going to be really cheesy, but if you do it right, if you do it like an old Stephen King, John Carpenter mindfuck movie, it might be really, really good. Did you ever watch Evangelion? Oh, Patricio. Evangelion, it wasn't the anime that got me into anime. I would say the Guyver was probably that one, or maybe even like Voltron or Robotech if you want to go that far back. But Evangelion was the first like anime. It was a very formative anime for me. It was the one that I watched and was addicted to that show when I was the same age as the characters in that show. The kids, the pilots. And so I have more of an attachment to it than I probably should have, and looked over a lot of its like faults. But I loved it, and it really shaped what I expected from anime from that point forward. And I have a lot of attachment to it, a lot of thoughts about it. I've only watched the first 2 of the rebuild, and I enjoyed them. I've heard that other people don't like 2 as much as I do, and I've heard that the 3.0, it just goes completely off the rails, which I'm sad about, and I should watch it at some point just to do it. But I still think it's a masterpiece. I think what they attempted to do, faults and all, final episodes and all, end of Evangelion and all of these bad things about it still don't kill what they tried to accomplish with it, which I think is make something incredibly subversive to the industry and something thought-provoking and disturbing in equal measures. So, sorry. But the second part of your question is, are you excited about the director of that series, Hideaki Anno, directing the latest Toho Godzilla film? Well, I saw a preview of that, and it looks stupid. I hate the way Godzilla looks, but I'm prepared to be wrong about it. If you stopped doing Q&As when you had a cold, you wouldn't do Q&As. Good point. Which Kingdom Death Monster expansions have you played? I haven't actually played any of them. I'll just be very upfront and honest about that. I have played the base game a lot, and I've put together a lot of the expansion content, but I'm waiting for the expansions to actually use them. That's why I haven't done reviews of them. How's Bugbear this week? She's good. You know, she's been very hyper a lot this week, but that's because I haven't taken her out to like the PARK. I have to spell it, lest she hear me. Where is she? I think she's in bed. Did you get a chance to play Pathfinder on your Android device? Not yet. I will do so soon, probably this weekend. Hey, I just joined. Didn't know if you answered, but are you enjoying Millennium Blades? I'm on the fence. I did a review. You can watch my review of it, where I give some pretty significant thoughts of how I came down on it. Will you do a live streaming of you eating a bowl of cereal a la The Truman Show? Guys, if that's all I need to do, then I've been working too hard. So yes, I'll do that. Thanks for the review of Fairy Tail. Me and my girlfriend love it. Do you prefer Fairy Tail over Seven Wonders? Oh, I do, but I'm not a huge fan of Seven Wonders, and they're very different games. It's almost apples and oranges. They're both drafting, but Seven Wonders is much more in-depth and has a lot more strategy to it. So I'm not going to say that, but Fairy Tail is good as a filler card game. I'm not a big Trump fan, but maybe a hardcore Republican president is needed right now. Obama has been bitch-slapped again and again by Putin. Well, Pellegrino, you're in luck, because unfortunately, or fortunately, perhaps for you and for some, Hillary Clinton is actually a bigger war hawk than a lot of Republicans are. That's kind of why a lot of us didn't want her in office. But if that's your concern, vote for Hillary. Nick, most of your top 100 are on the famous shelf behind you, right? Is it a conscious decision, or you just chuck it wherever? Some of them I just chuck wherever, but I try to put like the popular, highly rated games by me up near the front, and also games people would recognize, and of course I always have to have the stupid mouth box up there. Guys, we're probably going to end this right on time because of my cold. Thank you, Patricio. His name was Wally Thomas of Pembroke Pines. Was a stagehand that died in the Davy Bowie concert. Very sad. He was a local guy, too. He wasn't part of the... He must have worked for the theater. That's sad. Not that it would have mattered either way. How much more content from Marvel Legendary do you think they will roll out? They don't seem to be stopping. They just... I just saw pre-orders go up on Cool Stuff for the Civil War expansion in June. So it'll be a little bit late for the movie tie-in, but it'll base off the comic book Civil War anyways. But it's a big box expansion. It's like Dark City and the Secret Wars expansion. It's a huge expansion, so they are not slowing down with that. They're going to have to do an expansion eventually. They promised they would for those stupid promo characters that they put in, that they snuck into the Marvel 3D trading cards set. I was so frustrated with that. Like, if you wanted to get them, now you have to spend either exorbitant eBay prices, or you would have had to open a ton of booster packs to get a card set for, like, Man-Thing, Howard the Duck, promo cards for, like, alternate art cards for some of the other characters. But supposedly all that stuff is going to come in a future expansion, which hopefully will be called, like, Strange Tales or something. Just wondering, was the girl you mentioned the one that got into that unfortunate accident? Yes. She did not hate beagles. I mentioned Victory Point Games and their Darkest Nights thing earlier. You can go back and rewatch that. Thoughts on Pandemic Iberia? I actually think it sounds kind of interesting, even though, yes, I also have pandemic fatigue, as Pila mentions later on down the line here. Alright, I gotta get real tissues, I think. And my top 3 animes. You can also watch that on my channel. I have my top 10 animes. I'll do you 7 better, Eric. Look for, it's called Optional Variants, Episode 1. The only episode, top 10 anime series. What games hit your table most? Simple games like Hanabi and Love Letter and things like that. Yes, Firefly Legendary has also been announced. I'm not very excited about it. Did your copy of Quadropolis come with the special monument promos? Yeah, I think so. I got some kind of special. Well, they have monuments, but I don't think I got like the extra monuments. But, all right, we're going to end it there, guys. It's 1:01. I was about 1 minute late, so that's actually perfect. Thank you so much. I apologize. I always have a cold, seemingly. But at least I don't have it during the week when I'm trying to be working. I guess that's better, even though it sucks for you guys to have to watch me rub my nose. But, yeah, but thank you so much. I really appreciate these Q&As. The reason why I'm willing to do that anyways, even when I'm under the weather, is because I just don't want to miss it. I just love talking to you guys and enduring, I don't know why I put it that way, enduring your questions. Endearing your questions. Let's put it that way. But thank you so much for all of your support, everything. Look forward to the Scythe review, which, of course, is thanks to you guys, my loyal fans. Have a fantastic weekend and a great rest of next week as well. Take care.